Ladies, I'm sure you already know this, but I got to tell you anyway. This is the mall. River Center Mall. There's 1 million square feet of shopping pleasure right here. 125 shops. One of 11 here in San Antonio. Come out front of this little bridge here. Back in the trees on the right, there's an 8-foot statue. Now that's the namesake of the river. It was 1691 when the Spanish explorers arrived. It just so happened to be June the 13th. Catholic calendar, that's the feast day of St. Anthony. That guy's name is St. Anthony. He's the reason they call the river San Antonio. St. Anthony's a 12th century Portuguese river. Now the Indians called the river Yanaguana. That meant calm, relaxing water in their native tongue. Hey, y'all Indians. One of several nomadic tribes around this area. Very beautiful steeple high and to the right here. Get just a few little glimpses of it through the trees. It's the source of the bells on the hour during the day. Surrounded on 3 sides by the mall, that's St. Joseph's Catholic Church. That was built in 1868. Germans built that. You don't see a lot of German influence down there. The mid-1800s, there were more Germans here than anybody else. They were the largest ethnic group in San Antonio. See this gray bird here on the right? Looking for breakfast. It's called the yellow-crested night heron. Isn't he pretty? Those guys fly it from Mexico every spring. Some of them from South America. Well, that one's been marked. He's got a deal on his leg. It's the Chamber of Commerce on the right here. It's a good source of information. Weekdays, business hours, of course. Now, as we get beyond it, there's a big orange object. Maybe you've seen that, wondered about it. That's called the Torch of Friendship. That came from Mexico in 2002. And named Sebastian made that. It symbolizes the cooperation between our two countries. It's a pretty good way to find McDonald's, too, if you like McDonald's. We come out front of this archway, we're entering the natural part of the river. It's always been here. This Casa Rio restaurant right in front of us, the first restaurant down here, established in 1946. It's actually a German-owned Mexican restaurant. There's got a deli upstairs called Sheila's. His name is Bill, he's a nice guy. It's Tex-Mex, it's good. But when it gets real busy after a while, you can probably get a table on the river quicker there than anywhere else. Simply because they have more of them. They got more river space than anybody. Well, this is the Hilton in front of us now. Palacio del Rio, the palace on the river. Fastest built hotel in history. They built this in 202 days. A man named Zachary, H.B. Zachary, he got the contract from Mr. Hilton prior to the World's Fair in 1968. Mr. Hilton only gave him 7 months, gave him the deadline. Mr. Zachary was an Aggie, the only man that would take the dare. He got her done, y'all. It's pretty neat the way he did this. The first 4 floors were built right here. At the same time, he began constructing those 500 rooms above, 8 miles south of here, on an assembly line. You see how they're little boxes? He fully furnished each room 8 miles south of here. Carpet, drapes, bed, nightstands, sheets, blankets, pillows, the pictures on the wall, the plumbing, right down to the Bible in the drawer. Now, once he had his framework in place, he put them on flatbed trucks, drove them the 8 miles up here, picked them up with a crane, and plugged them into place, one right after another. In order to make his deadline, the last few at the top went up there with helicopters. Made that deadline with 48 hours to spare. It's called modular construction. 68 was a big year for us. We had the World's Fair here. 7 million people showed up. We had a kind of a crunch for hotel rooms. We had to really hurry, get them built sometime. These two buildings to the left here, those are German settler homes. Behind there on street level is La Villita, the little village. There's craft shops and art galleries and restaurants. There's a scented candle maker up there, a jewelry maker. That's one of the Spanish settlements. Well, La Villita was completely redone in the 1930s by the Work Projects Administration. That's how this RiverWalk thing got started. They got a grant for $450,000 from the WPA. They redid La Villita, put a couple of sidewalks down here. Then they built this big old Artisan Theater in front of us now. There's seating for 800 on the left. The stage is on the right. Go right down the middle. I see the movie Miss Congeniality with Sandra Bullock. Remember that movie? The swimsuit competition scene was filmed right here in this theater. May 15th when you start? Okay. Fiesta Noche del Rio. Every weekend in the summertime they have a show here. Every weekend, every Friday and Saturday night. Fiesta Noche del Rio. Spanish flair, singing and dancing. Very good. This is where the RiverWalk began. Now the river has always been here. This river is the reason that everything else is here. It's the San Antonio River. It begins about 3 miles north of us. Comes right out of the ground. It's a natural spring. Well, these are cypress trees on either side here. This great big one on the right is over 200 years old. That one with the big roots there? This is where the yellow-crested night herons live. You see them up in the trees there. The one, that big gray bird we saw a while ago. Now this is a city park. All this vegetation, the flowers, the city takes care of that. They do a heck of a job, don't they? Do you notice these ugly fences? These T-post fences with the wire and the ribbons? Those are temporary, okay? And a week from Monday, we're going to have a big parade. The guys that do Mardi Gras, they come up and they put their stuff on barges. And the Texas Cavaliers put that on. There'll be 200,000 to 300,000 people lining these sidewalks that night. They put those fences up to protect the vegetation. Now, there's an iron sculpture here on the right. It's called Father Massenet's Table. Father Damien Massenet held the very first Mass on the river in 1691. This little island right here where it stands is called Marriage Island. They have almost 200 weddings a year right there on that island. Very picturesque. Stand right in front of the sculpture there. It's supposed to be good luck to get married there. You know, one of my fellow drivers been married 4 times right there. This is called Old Mill Crossing. Very popular spot in the late 1700s. Before there were bridges, right here's where they'd cross with their wagons and horses. It's particularly shallow here. It's only about 3 feet deep. It's got a limestone bottom. Would not have to load the wagon to cross here. That's why it's popular. It's got any that was happening here. Well, that's the Weston Hotel on the right there. Is anybody staying there? No. Got absolutely no historic value whatsoever. Built in 1999. Next door to that is the old San Antonio Drug Company. Now that was a warehouse. It was built in 1919. They converted it to Homewood Suites in the mid-90s. Then across the river on the left, this building's a great point of reference for you. It's lit up at night. You can see it from anywhere in town. Get up there on street level and get lost, you can find your way back down here. This is called the Tower Life Building. It was built in 1927. There was a couple of stockbrokers named Smith & Young that spent $3,1927 to build this building. It's neo-Gothic architecture. Look real high at the very top. Can you see the gargoyles? See them sticking out up there? It looks like Ghostbusters, doesn't it? Those are rain spouts. When it rains, the water comes out their mouths. These spaces above the first floor are called grotesques. Now, Smith & Young were stockbrokers, very superstitious. They paid extra to have those 2 features added to ward off the evil spirits. It's under renovation now. There's going to be offices on the first floor, condos and timeshares up above. Very expensive, very time-consuming to renovate a historic building like that. Dwight David Eisenhower had an office in that building in World War II. That's where he found out about Pearl Harbor, actually. Oh, y'all see the baby ducks? See the babies over here on the right? All together now, 1, 2, 3. Oh, aren't they precious?
Yeah. I used to live in the water. Like she fell off. She could even fell off.
Yes, sir.
I have lots of stuff in my house.
Good. Building on the right here was a public library for 30 years, now called the International Center. That has the offices of NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement, and we keep our boats in the basement there. The big red building directly ahead is our courthouse, Bear County Courthouse. That was built in 1896. That is still the courthouse today. This green light indicates that it's okay to pass over this floodgate. You notice there's metal markings coming up on either side of the boat here. In periods of heavy rain, this floodgate lifts below and regulates the water level. It's called the weir gate. The river continues left or south. It flows 138 miles. It meets up the Guadalupe River right before it enters into the Gulf of Mexico. If you look down that way about 300 yards to the left, looks like it just falls off to nothing. It's because it does. There's another floodgate down there. It's a 15-foot waterfall. Beyond that is the King William District. There's a lot of old German houses down there. Sidewalks continue that way for a mile or two. The original river, the natural part of the river, made a loop in the shape of a horseshoe, went on south. That's why they settled here. We just left the south leg of that horseshoe. This is called the flood control channel. It connects the two ends of the horseshoe. This part's man-made. This was added after a huge flood in 1921. So after that flood, they installed a whole series of floodgates, kind of a lock system. Two in particular, one at each end of the horseshoe. Then they trenched this out so that when it rained a lot, they could close the gates to isolate the horseshoe. If you notice, the walls are higher here. It's also a little bit deeper. This little short channel, it's about 10 or 12 feet deep. All of this area is subject to flooding. The sidewalk on the right here is new. It's only been here a couple of years. To date, it has not been underwater, but it's certainly possible. Probably inevitable, actually. This is Main Plaza on the left here. This is where the city began. In 1730, a group of Spaniards from the Canary Islands landed right there. About 50 or 60 of them began the city. At the other end of the quad, the San Fernando Cathedral. It's very beautiful. The two towers just barely make it out. Built in 1738, that is the oldest cathedral in the United States. Pope John Paul visited there in 1986. Generally always something going on up there. They got mariachis and foo-foos. Sometimes they have live bands at night. Did you know San Antonio is the second oldest city in the United States? Anybody know the oldest? Yeah. St. Augustine, Florida. Yeah, very good. I think it's over with it. We're the seventh largest now. We just passed San Diego a couple of summers ago. We're approaching 2 million people now. That's the biggest tree down here right in front of us. That's another cypress tree. That stood there during the Battle of the Alamo. Santa Ana posted snipers up there. So we're back to the natural part of the river. This has a mud bottom. It's about 5 feet deep. We'll make a right turn and we'll head up the north leg of the horseshoe. Floodgate number 3 right in front of us. Huge metal object, weighs 3 tons, drops from above. very sudden. It actually takes about 15 minutes to lower this. See what happens when we get a real heavy rainfall, a flooding rainfall? They shut this. Okay, back to where the waterfall is I told you about? They lower that and it drains the water right out of the horseshoe. But up on street level, the water never gets on the sidewalk down there. Everything within the loop is protected. You notice now the businesses are right down on river level. They don't have to worry about flooding. There's a couple of trees going out of the wall here. See them on the right? That's a box alder tree above with a big tree below. The legend is they washed in their small twigs after that flood. They took root and they continue going right out of the wall there. Well, that big tree's going to town. You see all the pigs on there? That thing popped out there about 2 weeks ago. All kinds of pretty big trees down here. The one next to it is a loquat. This is the Aztec Theater on the right here. It's built in 1926. They showed silent movies in there in the old days. It's Mayan style. It's got Aztecian carvings with gold inlays. Wonderful. Anybody see the movie Selena? Jennifer Lopez? Remember that movie? It's a little scene where she's all by herself on a bridge and she cries about her husband and father not getting along. That was filmed right here on this bridge. Everybody calls that Selena's Bridge now. J-Lo stayed right here on the left during filming the La Mansion. It's a 5-star. It's very nice. That began as St. Mary's School for Boys. It was built in 1853. A couple of attorneys bought it, turned it into a hotel. Just where the celebrities stay. Guys, we come out front of the bridge. Now I want you to look really high and left. 24 stories high. It's the world's largest freestanding wall. Real high and left. Got to take your breath away, doesn't it? That, of course, is an optical illusion. It's a very severe angle right here at this corner. It's built in 1930. It's almost a triangular-shaped building. That's the Nix Hospital, N-I-X, Nix. That is still a hospital. They're still saving lives in there. You know that's the only hospital in the United States. It's got a bar and a restaurant in the basement. That's where the doctors prepare for something. Carol Burnett was born there. She's one of our favorite ladies. This is called the South Bank. That's where all the nightlife is, where all the bars are. A lot of bars up on street level as well. Yeah, more people fall in the river right here than any other. If you haven't seen the Alamo yet, this is the Hyatt Regency Hotel right in front of us. It's a great shortcut. You go through the lobby there where those 2 double doors are. You get up on street level the other side, you're standing right in front of the Alamo. Real pretty in there. There's waterfalls, waterways. Blue umbrellas is Jim Cullum's landing. Mr. Cullum's a very famous jazz musician. Building on the right here is called the Casino Club building. So sorry, y'all, it's not a casino. Not yet, anyway. The Germans built that in 1927. It was a social club. Those little bitty apartments upstairs are the 5-year wait. 5-year wait.
Oh, for 5-year waiting list to get into those parking.
This is my favorite part of the river. It's called River Square. And that's where most of the food is. There's probably a dozen restaurants within a block. Right side here is the original office of Mr. R.H.H. Hugman. You can see his name above there on the balcony. Mr. Hugman was the architect of the river. He's called the father of the RiverWalk. He opened that little office in 1941. That was the very first office opened down on river level. Everybody in town thought he was crazy, thought he was going to drown right through. Very smart guy. He's the one that invented the floodgate system. He opened that office to prove it would work. University of Texas graduate. Well, if you're navigationally inclined, you can see that we've made a full circle here. So we make a left turn. We're leaving the natural part of the river. It's called a mud bottom. Entering back into what's called the man-made extension. And this part was added prior to the World's Fair of 1968. Provided access. RiverWalk behind us, Hemisphere Park up in front of us. This has a concrete bottom. It's exactly 4.5 feet deep. There's fish in here. There's catfish, carp, and perch, coys and bass, shrimp, minnows, crawfish, a lot of crawfish, turtles, snakes, canoes.
Yes, you're right.
Oh, no, canoes. That's something else. Get you carried away. All these waterfalls we've seen, they serve to aerate the water to keep the fish on. Camera out. High to the right between the two sycamore trees. They'll kind of frame it for you. You'll see the Tower of the Americas. It's built prior to the World's Fair of '68. It's 750 feet to the top of the antenna. Tallest tower in the United States for many years. Doggone, it's now the second tallest. I hate that. Does anybody know? Anybody know the tallest tower? We got that done about 10 years ago. Been to Las Vegas lately? Down in Stupak built something called the Stratosphere. Las Vegas. Did you ride the roller coaster, sir? Did? I think Marguerite will make me ride that thing. If you didn't get your shot, you'll get another look at it when you get around the corner. It's got a restaurant up there that rotates. It's called the Chart House. The food is actually very good. There's a 4D theater in the basement.
Lots and lots of stuff.
Look at all of those stuff.
Yes.
Sit down, buddy.
Can I look?
Yes, lots of food. Lots of stuff.
This is the convention center. 1.5 million square feet of convention area. beautiful mosaic on the left here. Right to the left. That was a present from Mexico prior to the World's Fair of '68. It's called the Convergence of Civilizations. There's 400,000 one-inch tiles up there. A man named O'Gorman made that. Juan O'Gorman. Now, the only ones that are painted are the blue iridescent. The rest of them were made from stones of that color. Generally always have something going on here. Normally I'd go up in the lagoon and we'd come around, but they're working on our railings in there. I'm just going to make a U-turn here and head back. If you want to go to the Tower of the Americas, this is the way you'd walk. It's another couple hundred yards up through there. It's real pretty walk.
Muchos patos ahí, haciéndose patos.
I've got one last little story for you. These two Marriotts right in front of us, that one on the right's got 1,000 rooms. A guy named Eddie DeBartolo built that in 1988. Well, he had a big problem, y'all. It's a 3-story problem called the Fairmont Hotel. That Fairmont stood right there where the Marriott stands today. Built in 1905, it was very historic. Conservation Society wouldn't let him tear it down so he could build his big hotel. Well, after 5 years of planning and permits and whatnot, he brought a crew in here in 1985. They picked up the Fairmont Hotel, 1,600 tons, and they moved it 6 blocks down here to Nueva and Alamo Street where it sits today. It took them 8 days to jack it up 8 inches. Then they slid 36 axles with hundreds of tires under it. They hooked big tractors to it and drove it right down Market Street right here above us. Pretty cool. Pretty neat watch big hotel going down the street. 1985. It's in the Guinness Book of World Records. It took them 6 weeks to get a 6 block. A lot of fun to watch. Back where we started. What do you think? Did you have a good time? Did you have fun? Good. On behalf of Rio San Antonio Cruise Line, I just want to thank you guys for riding the RiverWalk with me. Y'all come back and see us. We love having you. Now be sure to look around and get all your stuff, okay? Of course, for a job well done, our drivers appreciate your tips. Let me get us docked and tied down up here before we get to park. We get 30 lots for coming. Y'all have a great afternoon. The sun's going to come out of the early night. Theaters right up the escalator right there.